What are the best budget decks in Yu-Gi-Oh right now? Big dog, at this point in time of the month, we broke. And if there's anything that my son would tell you, it's gonna be crucial.
Get your money up, not your funny up, gang.
Now I know us brokies aren't him. He got his mommy and his daddy credit card on lock. So today, in spite of him, I'm gonna be giving us the proper budget decks that we need so we can get our money up and stop being funny. Let's go ahead and jump on in. What's going on with y'all, big dog? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that your day phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. Today, big dog, we have 5 different categories here talking about what are the most powerful top budget Yu-Gi-Oh decks, all the way down to them noodles is a better investment. I'm telling you, big dog, this pack of noodles got a 401k. I'm cooking it. I'm about to get double the noodles by the time I eat it. And the criteria for judging these budget Yu-Gi-Oh decks is going to be a little bit different than my other tier lists. Some of the biggest things I'm going to be focusing on for this particular tier list is the price of the deck. How much stronger can it get if you can put more money, but more importantly, what is the long-term plan for this strategy? I understand that there is a ton of people that are getting into Yu-Gi-Oh, and for the most part, you either broke or you don't want to spend all that money at first. This tier list can be used as a guide to help you along your journey and give you information about some strategies you may not have known about. With that being said, let's go ahead and start off with Flundereese. What happened to that boy? Seriously, what happened to Flundereese? A deck that did lose Trout of Prosperity, but still has Swallow's Quarry. This deck is still naturally consistent. Its biggest go-to cards are Dimension Shifter and Harpy's Featherstorm, blowout Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but I would say never sleep on Flundereese in the Unexplored Winds. Being able to tribute your opponent's cards is kind of crazy. I think considering the power of the Yu-Gi-Oh card game, Flundereese would be a solid choice. There's no confirmed support from any strategy in Burst of Destiny, which is sad. And that pretty much means that what you get with Flundereese is exactly what you get. Nothing more, nothing less. Yu-Gi-Oh strategies are a lot faster, and it's not necessarily very hard to play around what this deck has to offer now. Still incredibly solid and good in locals and possibly even a regional level. Next is Dinomorbia. Bro, this deck is crazy. Getting down to 6,900 life points means your opponent can't activate no effects. Unless they're playing Yubel, then you're cooked. Like you cooked, because you ain't doing nothing to stop Yubel attacking with Nightmare Pain. It's a pain. I think Dinomorphia is a strategy that would be and takes a really good pilot. We actually just recently saw Dinomorphia top a regional, but that was before the new ban list was in effect. We can all expect that Yubel is going to be the top Yu-Gi-Oh deck, and if you gotta play against that strategy a lot, you're gonna have to finesse your way into some wins against them. Overall, though, I do think that Dinomorphia is a solid Yu-Gi-Oh deck, and I can't wait for more dinosaur support to make it stronger. Sword Soul. Yeah, I remember when I was talking about no support since Burst of Destiny? I think Konami is starving our Sword Soul players on purpose, big dog. I think they scared of what we gonna do with the goo. But I ain't even gonna lie, with cards like Better on the Floor Band and this deck needing 2-card interactions for combos, I'm gonna say noodles are a better investment right now. But boy, once that new Sword Soul support come out, we swollen up. Sharks. Now, Sharks right now are in a similar situation to Sword Soul. They're a deck that requires multiple pieces to be able to combo, meaning that if your opponent has multiple forms of interruption, you're going to be sitting on a duck board. But the only difference between Sword Soul and Sharks is that it looked like we going into the year of the water. Water monsters are going to be getting a ton of support from Rise of the Abyss, and we can assume that even in the next set, Supreme Darkness and other side sets alike, water monsters will be getting a boost similar to how fire monsters have been getting a boost. I think that alone puts the deck in borderline. Sharks are already crazy good in the right circumstances, and with more support on the horizon, it actually becomes a decent budget Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Black Wings. Hello, darkness, my old friend. It's almost a shame that Black Wings had an opportunity to be a tier 1 deck, a nobody deck, really good support in Darkwing Blast, and then get power crept all in one lifetime. Black Wings are 100% right now noodles or a better investment. If I were to make an anime deck tier list, we talking about something else. But for right now, I don't think it's powerful enough to be able to keep up with the strongest decks. And we know that these anime decks will get support, but it often takes years. It took damn near a decade for Black Black Queens to get another wave of support to make it semi-irrelevant for a decent amount of time. Exo stepsisters. Holy, more like we're not even related no more because mom and dad got divorced. Here you go, stepsis. I bought them noodles with that divorce money. This deck is just simply not good. And one of the biggest things that I hate about it is that if they change one line of text, this deck becomes amazing. Just switch all of the other Exo sisters to match the same text as Martha. Anytime a card moves the graveyard, whether it's your opponent or you get the XE summon. But I guess that would be too strong for 800 attack monsters to have effects that actually mean something. Meanwhile, we got Snake Eyes Ash. I think Marine Cess fits in the same boats as Shark. Keep in mind, in the OCG, they do not have Totally Awesome, and we do. So that means that with cards like Baron the Floor, Borreload, Savage Dragon, Appaloosa being banned, these decks have a natural way to not only negate opponents' cards, they also can take your bish. I'm gonna put them in Borderline. Marine Cess is one of those solid anime Yu-Gi-Oh decks, so you know there's gonna be future support, but even right now, it stands the test of time as a deck that will get supported with Rise of the Abyss and Water support. And genuinely, I can't wait to start talking about Rise of the Abyss. That set's going to be incredibly fun. Me and TJ have been cooking up a lot with those particular archetypes in there. And please, please let Yoconics be in that set. It's going to be crazy. I still think that heroes are a solid choice Yu-Gi-Oh deck right now. For budget players, this is another one of those good anime decks that we know is going to get supported later on down the line. And the best thing about Hero is that it actually has built-in counters to what's good against the meta right now. I don't expect heroes to wow anybody and win a YCS. Heck, I don't even expect it to top a YCS, but topping or winning a regionals, incredibly possible for this strategy. And I just so happen to have a hero deck profile, so go ahead and check that out if you want to see how this deck is equipped to beat some of the top decks. Now, Sarcophagus is actually better than what you think. This is a pretty decent going second deck, and it has access to Red Eye's Dark Dragoon. I think that makes it at least takes a good pilot. One thing that I think people forget is that in the beginning, when this strategy was first introduced, it actually topped a couple of regionals. Then the strategy got stronger with Battles of Legends Terminal Revenge, but also got even stronger with Infinite Forbidden. And while I think winning a regionals is unlikely for this strategy, being able to consistently do well in locals is definitely a path for this particular strategy. Pearly is simply one of the best budget decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! And the crazy thing about it is that we know we're not getting any more Pearly support. But just having those Pearly cards coming off the ban list is support. Bro, this deck summons a big Chungus cat that can spin cards on the field in graveyard. I don't know about you, but I like fat cats. There's no pause to that, I actually do.
Mega Chunker.
Senpai Dragon. I don't think there's really much to talk about with this. If you're jumping into the game and want to know what's the best budget deck, it's probably Senpai Dragon. And with the Mega Tens coming out, you do get access to Trident Dragon, which will make this deck a lot more accessible and a lot more cheaper. It is the best budget-friendly deck. And we've talked about this yesterday, is that there's going to be quite a few things that Fire King is going to get from the Mega Tens. Bonfire, Wanted, Diabel. Those cards are expected to go down tremendously. But even if they don't, being able to play a Fire King Tri-Brigade version is still on the table. Then there's also Fire King Yoconics, which is bound to come out sooner or later. Please give us Yoconics. With all of that in mind, I think that Fire King is a top budget Yu-Gi-Oh deck. It has everything that you want. It's a deck that you can play on a simple budget and build up. It's a strategy that is getting more support to make it stronger. Snake Eyes just got hit on the ban list, and players are saying that this is the strongest version of Snake Eyes. That could be true, at least until Rage of the Abyss comes out. Eldritch. Wait, Skill Drain's at 1, right? Rivalry's at 1. They're gonna be only ones at 1, ironically, and Gozen matches at 1. All of the floodgates are at 1. Now, I dare you guys, I dare you to find a way to play Eldritch in 2024 with all of the floodgates limited. Don't do it. I think that Eldritch the Golden Lord is a solid Yu-Gi-Oh card. It's actually ridiculously strong. But Eldritch itself as a strategy, you're doing too much. Dark World.
Welcome to the Dark World. We have cookies.
I have been trapped into the gates of the abyss for quite some time, and I can tell you right now, the noodles in there are trash. Bro, they don't have chili flavor, they don't have chicken flavor, they don't even have the beef flavor. They got the blue pack and the yellow pack. I don't even know what the yellow pack is, and the blue pack used to be called something that I can't say no more. I think they changed the name to Original or something. They're nasty, bro. I think if you were genuinely interested in booty, all right, then Plunder Patrol may be for you. The only problem with that is that you have to be really skilled with the booty to find out how to make it work for you. Plunder Patrol does get stronger with Fiendsmith, but the problem is you kind of gotta get Fiendsmith. And if you're getting Fiendsmiths, I don't think that this tier list is for you. I actually think that I have another tier list for you. It's the meta one. Now, the hot topic of debate is with plants. You guys say that I rank it too low. As a budget deck, I think borderline is where it's gonna be. Plants have been getting hidden support for the last few sets, and they haven't really manifested to anything. On top of that, the deck being incredibly complicated to play, I think that there's better strategies you could use if you want to play this deck. Not necessarily a terrible Yu-Gi-Oh strategy, but not the best choice in the world unless you're absolutely set on plants. Then easily the best choice. Now, Mimikghoul is really interesting too, because we know for a fact the Mimikghoul cards right now are pretty decent. But like I've said before, we also know that Konami is known for fumbling the bag. I mean, they the type to celebrate on the 1 yard line and lose the ball and then roll out for a touchback. They that type of people. If you guys didn't understand the football reference, I guess the best bet would be just giving up your turn instead of attacking for game. I'm gonna put Mimikghouls in borderline. I think that it could be an incredibly powerful deck, but it really depends on what are the new cards from Rise of the Abyss. I didn't even know that Sprite was a budget Yu-Gi-Oh deck. I kind of feel bad because I was still waiting on the Sprite reprints and didn't notice that they happened in Terminal's Revenge. This is a top budget Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Anytime level 2 monsters come out, the deck gets even stronger. I think it's one of the better decks to pick because you don't need direct support for the strategy to get better. And I'm gonna go ahead and say that Exodia are another strategy that takes a good pilot. These anime archetypes are really fighting their way in. Exodia summons an unstoppable fusion monster. The Exodia parts are getting another quarter-century rarity, which I'm really excited about. And I think that there is some potential for this deck, but you're gonna have to be a really good player to bring that potential out. Drytron, my boy, I mean, it still has Vanity's ruler, which is completely unfair. It can play around Nip, it just can't play around Bestials. I still think that it's okay to put it in the solid choice, mainly because this is a ritual deck, and Konami has been known to randomly give ritual decks support. So even while Drytron may not get supported itself, Eva coming off the ban list, and we knowing that we're going to get more ritual support sometime in the future, this deck is incredibly cheap and is relatively a safe pick if rituals are your thing. In case you didn't know, a lot of these strategies are picked because you guys request them. And I'm not saying I'm gonna call Chris Hansen on y'all for repping Trap Tricks, but I'm gonna call Chris Hansen on y'all. Somebody in my Discord said, I honestly think Trap Tricks is slept on right now. It's a shifter deck, doesn't care about Nibiru. If you get hit with Mochummy, you make Sarah set back row and pass, and even have access to main deck evenly, as well as Dominus Purge to trigger Sarah. Hold on, that's actually kind of good. You can even make the rabbit set the trap and use it with Sarah as even more disruption. Also, it's easier to go second now a bit with Omni Negates and Oppo going for it. Also, I'm gonna stay standing on that heel that the only good back row hate for it is Cosmic Cyclone. My boy, why don't you have a seat right here? You know what? I gotta give him something. Going second in Yu-Gi-Oh is a lot easier now. It actually means board breakers have more power. And that was Trap Tricks' biggest weakness. I was originally gonna put it in Noodles or a better investment, but I'm not gonna lie, that little sentence right there, it got me. It got me. I think maybe with the right player and all that stuff that you said, it could be a good deck. And just in case you guys didn't know, yes, I do read all of you guys' comments and I do take it into consideration. So if you guys think that I put a particular strategy wrong or I missed a particular strategy, please let me know down below in the comment section, and also join the Discord. I'm gonna be reading more comments in the Discord about decks. Raid Raptors is bro, you guys remember when I was Raid Raptor coping? I played Raid Raptors for like 2 solid months. I know everything there is to know about the deck. I know my old version, I know the new version, I know the pure version, I know the cash version, I know every version. Bro, no. Raid Raptor's biggest problem is that it is a decently fragile Yu-Gi-Oh deck. And a lot of the cards that can be used to make it less fragile, unfortunately can't be used because you lock yourself into Raid Raptors. It's a legit catch-22, and I want to put it in Takes a Good Pilot, but there's just way too much against you. I'm pretty confident Ice Barrier is not getting any more support, but the deck is actually solid for a budget Yu-Gi-Oh deck. That level 10 Lancia monster got a couple of weaknesses: Change Art, Triple Tactics Talent, Imperm. If you won't open those, it's cooking you. And this ain't Master Duel partner, Maxi ain't gonna be open here. I think that the deck is pretty dang powerful. Red Dragon Archfiend. Don't do this to me. All right, guys, you know I still cope with RDA. I play it often. We actually ran through Platinum rank on Master Duel with Red Dragon Archfiend, and I discovered some pretty new cool techs that make it a little bit more consistent. Yeah, it still takes a good pilot. That's at best. Red Dragon Archfiend's biggest problems is that you lock yourself and there is no Resonator field spell that can change Resonator monsters to non-tuners. Bro, I swear we get that, we back on top, I promise you, I promise you. It just gotta mention Red Dragon Archfiend in the name. Labyrinth is easily one of the best budget Yu-Gi-Oh decks you can buy, and anytime new trap cards come out, this deck finds a way to equate it inside of it. Get it? Because simultaneous equation cannon, a really strong route that you can go, and losing skill drain isn't the end of the world. It just means that you actually have to play Labyrinth. Thunder Dragon. Got Thunder Dragon Colossus at 2. I said that was one of the biggest problems for this deck, but I wasn't expecting Oppo to disappear. Now you got another big problem for the deck. I'm gonna put it in... Yeah, we're coping here. Thunder Dragon just simply does not do anywhere near enough to be considered a great Yu-Gi-Oh deck. I think that Light Sworns are a little bit better, and I think Light Sworns is a budget deck. I mean, come on, guys. This deck always gets support. Light Sworn got a lot cheaper with Bestial Dispatter and is actually a solid Yu-Gi-Oh deck. I still have a deck profile that translates into the TCG right now. You just got to take out cards like Appaloosa and you're golden. Gimmick Puppet, I'm gonna say borderline. The reason why I say that it's borderline is because right now it's technically a dead Yu-Gi-Oh deck. It's not that it can't FTK, it's just not gonna do it consistent enough for you to be able to translate into multiple wins over time, but it is getting support, so it's going to be stronger. I think Ritual Beast are, oh, this one's tough. Ritual Beast is one of the solid choices. I was this close to putting it in the top budget, but the difference between Ritual Beast and all of the decks above it is that these decks are still getting support in some way, shape, or form. I think, like Ice Barriers, Ritual Beast is not going to get any type of support for a very long time. But if you're okay with that, it genuinely is a strategy that should be here. Just remember, in our criteria, I'm looking out for you on what strategies will get more support in the future. Melodious is another strategy that's just a solid choice, and just like Ritual Beast, this is a deck that I don't envision getting any support anytime soon, but is a strategy that's actually pretty decent. The deck can play around hand traps like crazy, it just loses to board breakers, which is, yeah, that's being played right now, aren't they? Goblin Bikers, guys, I'm gonna put it takes a good pilot, but we all know that that's cope. Yeah, that's cope. But hey, I'm gonna ride on for you guys for the Goblin Bikers, man. Goblin Squad. I think that the deck has a lot of potential with its Exceed mechanic and how it does it. It's just, whew, it's missing quite a few cards. Dinos are Frida Homie Misk. Again, when we were talking about Sangan summoning to 3, we meant we wanted Misk to 3, not Sangan summoning to 1. Thank you, Konami. Fix the issue. It's kind of funny how they did that. I would easily put Vanquish Soul into a borderline Yu-Gi-Oh deck. If you go by all of the other strategies that have gotten support in side sets, Vanquish Soul has gotten 1 wave, where other strategies have gotten 2 and even 3. That means that hopefully in Supreme Darkness, we get some Vanquish Soul support, which can make this deck easier access to Razin. That's all this deck needs. Overall, it's a solid budget Yu-Gi-Oh deck now, thanks to the 2024 Megatens. I think it's going to be a pretty decent deck that you can ride with. Branded is in the same class as Ritual Beast. I'm gonna put it into solid choice. I think that Branded is not going to get any more support, but I also know that Branded is still one of the strongest decks in the game. You definitely, one of these two are the 2 strategies that could be top budget. And lastly, Makanko. And that's all that I got for the top budget Yu-Gi-Oh decks. Again, if you want to see more amazing content, you can go ahead and check out these videos. It's so much more that you can see. Always be safe, drink water, kiss your family, not all of them, and be sure to catch me on the next one.